What up, YouTube? How you doing? Just thought I'd come on and talk about a little something I thought was a little interesting. And you kind of hear it in social media a lot, and I think it's kind of short-sighted how a lot of people look at it. And that is the topic of being an alpha. A lot of people consider people that are alphas good leaders. I mean, it's automatically associated with good leadership quality. And I think that's really untrue. Because you have a lot of alphas that are basically in jail. You got a lot of alphas that are abusive. You have a lot of alphas that just really don't have a good plan in life to do anything except get into trouble and hurt people. Now on the other side of this, you have people that you might consider alphas that are going to be respectable in the community. They're not afraid to take on issues and tell people or other men when they're not doing right. But at the same token, I believe when you look at an alpha, that person, his job isn't necessarily to put other men down, definitely not women, in order to make himself look better or seem like he's so supreme over other people. In fact, I would venture to say that most people, or most men that are actually alphas, are going to do more to help the community and just be what they need to be for people. If they need to be a protector, they're a protector. If they're going to be an encourager, they're an encourager. If they're going to be a husband, they're going to be a husband. But that's just going to be something that is in their nature, and personality is automatically going to draw people to follow them or to really be mentored by them. Now, back to what I was saying before, there are certain people who have quality that people can find respectable. But just because they have those leadership qualities and qualities of admiration, does not necessarily mean that they're the best person to actually follow. So, as people in life, you have to know if that person is actually a good leader. And some of the things you can do to find out if a person is a good leader is actually to see where they're going. See what path they're on, see what their life entails, see what they do for other people. See how the people around them, if they're successful. Because if you're going to be following somebody that's supposedly an alpha or a good leader, then you should actually have some type of element of success. And ideally, if somebody is an alpha or a good leader, I should say, which I believe are two different things, they are going to lift you up. Because if they lift you up, it in turn lifts themselves up, and it also lifts the community or the people they're associated with up as well. And so you really can't just look at a person and consider them an alpha, or even if they are really, really charismatic. Because some of the most charismatic people in the world are some of the most dangerous people in the world as well. Hitler was charismatic. He wanted to take over the things. So you really can't even trust that. And you really got to consider them somebody to follow. A good thing to think about is, does their vision factor into your vision? What you want to do, your goals in life. And if you're following a person and that person's goals and visions in life is not lining up with yours, then you shouldn't be following them, because you're actually working against yourself if you're following somebody who's going in a different direction than you are. So even if that person is very, very charismatic, very, very, very likable, that don't mean they're a good leader for you. Now, that being said, a person who is a good leader is also going to learn how to align themselves with other people and also other leaders. They're going to actually network and, expand their influence through networking and not necessarily through power and fear, which is another thing some people or alphas can do, because you can use your strength as an alpha to beat people into submission, or cause people to be in fear. And if they're in fear, they might give you an element of loyalty. But that person who's an alpha that counts on fear is basically a target, and they will always be a target. And if they don't know how to keep that level of fear at a certain place and point, they're not going to survive. And just because you consider other men weaker than you, 2 or 3 weaker men can take you down as an alpha. And for that matter, one man that you don't consider as an alpha can take you down. Just because you have an alpha mentality don't mean you have more strength than other men. And I'm talking about physical strength. And that's not including mental strength. Because you have certain people that can take you down using your own power, your own arrogance. But the main focus of this is talking about alphas in relation to women. And I don't think very many women have the right thought process about what an alpha is. Now, I believe they know what a sexy man is. A man that has a commanding presence. But part of the problem with that is you have a lot of women choosing men that don't lead. They don't lead so much. Well, I tell you what, they are part-time leaders. They will lead a woman only up to a certain point. And that's single motherhood. And then once they get the woman married, or pregnant, if they can influence her to have an abortion, they get rid of her, or they leave her. Now, a man, an alpha, has to take care of his family. Yet, a lot of these women will choose a man that they really respect, they consider an alpha, and that same same man that they respect will do disrespectful things to them, and then to the kid. Yeah, that woman will still consider him an alpha. He ain't no alpha. He's another word, which I ain't gonna say, but it ain't necessarily a bad word, but it's not really walking in the elements of manhood. Let's just put it that way. And on top of that, he has no plan. He actually was with a woman with no plan. He just had a kid with a woman. He's surprised by it. He's scared of taking responsibility. And then he just takes off. But you guys consider him a man? I don't think so. Sorry. Consider him an alpha? Nah. No plan? You know, alpha. Sorry. That's what you think. I think you got a wrong idea of what a man is, what an alpha is, what a leader is. And I do have a specific issue with a lot of these guys, and I'll probably get some heat for it, but if you're up here on YouTube, real life, or wherever, and you're up here just shaming men into being what you are, I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. If you're a real leader, you just tell a man how to do certain things, give him a strategy, let him come up with a plan, help him out with a plan. Something that's going to help him, that's going to be beneficial to him, his kids, or whoever. But it shouldn't be in a situation where you get humiliated by another man that's supposedly helping you, calling you a simp or a B word or feminine and all this other garbage. I fail to see how that's actually helping a man. But if that's what you like, that's cool. I mean, that's his game. But me personally, a man has his own tools. Every man is given his own powers, his strengths, his weaknesses. And before you can actually become as good of a man as you can be, you really need to know yourself. And you hear a lot of talk about focus on you, get your bag, build your money up and stuff like that. You know, to a degree, I think that's cool. But the problem I have with it is you got to know yourself. Knowing yourself is a big part of that. Knowing who you are, what your strengths are, knowing that having a goal, having a purpose, that has to be included in that. And then on top of that, the person you choose, you got to have a plan for picking the person that you're going to share a life with. And so, you knowing your plan, and then them knowing their plan, and seeing if y'all's plans is compatible. Because if you're leading the ship, you don't want nobody going in the opposite direction or rowing in the opposite direction. Because nowadays it seems like you have a lot of modern women who don't really know who they are. and they just jumping on anybody's ship. And then they complain about it and call it settling, which is really dishonesty on their part. Don't come jump on my ship saying, yeah, you with me. And then all of a sudden, oh, you don't really like where you are. Or you're grown. Oh, you've grown. I've matured. Really? You weren't a grown up when we met? Nah, forget all that junk. If you want to play games with life, you should pay for it. The man shouldn't pay for it. Period. But that's just my opinion. Now, on the other hand, being a man of purpose, you should be able to come up with a strategy for basically identifying weak women. And I do mean weak because if you don't know who you are, how you going to be strong? You don't even know what your goals are. How you going to be strong? You don't know what a good man is. How you going to be strong? You have women that don't even tell the truth about themselves. But that's a little off topic. Talking about strong, independent women, modern women. And the biggest lie they tell is they don't need a man. But every time you turn around, they got their hand out. Hey, can you pay my bill? Hey, can you help me with this? Hey, can you take care of my kids? Hey, 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 hey. That's all it is. Coming back. No commitment, no plan, just bad decisions. And you don't need nobody that makes bad decisions. But alphas, so-called alphas, will be the same way. And I think you have to also be aware of men that have I think they have a really, and this is going to be hard to even explain, but I think you have men that hate other men. You have men that disrespect or disrespectful of other men. And the reason why they are is because they were raised by a single mother. Or they was raised by a woman who hates men, whether she's married or not. And her hates, her dismay, her disrespect of her husband gets transferred to the kids. Specifically the male kids. And you literally have men, black men, regular men, that hate themselves because their mom hated their father. So that perception of men, and when you go into single mothers, their perception of men is they hate men because men, husbands, fathers were never there for them. Now, does that apply to all men who are brought up in that situation? No. Because you have some men that were raised in that situation, but the mom, she probably understood, that the kid needed a male figure, and she got somebody for him. She saw that, she recognized it, and she made provisions to correct it. And so that kid probably got some male influence from an uncle, from a dad, from a good male friend or family or something like that. Or even a stepfather or stepdad. And so that person, that boy, is not going to be as, I don't want to say handicapped, but it's almost like it's a form of being trapped, because you've been influenced by somebody who hates who you are or are going to be. And so now you have a lot of young men that they have a feminist alpha perception of what a man should be. And they go around talking about how a man should be. But it's really, the foundation is really based off a feminist mentality and bad, let's say bad representation of what a man should be. Because that woman or that mom has probably been dealing with men that don't care about her, haven't did anything to take care of her, have disrespected the mom, abused the mom, yelled at the mom, treated the mom bad. Then this boy can sit up here and witness all that stuff. So he's really looking at a man, somebody who's supposed to be a man, that's not properly representing a man. And that man was probably considered alpha by his mom. Can you imagine how messed up that is? So you have a bunch of confusion. So that dude was raised to be basically not a good man. And then on top of that, he don't even know if he's a good man half the time. Because his mom would disrespect his dad regardless of whether he's doing good or not. He could be paying child support, all of it, and she'll still disrespect him. He could be trying to visit the kids, play with the kids, and she'll still disrespect him. It don't even matter what he does, it's always wrong. But the kid, this boy is always saying that. So he may learn from the mom how to be a good man, but the problem is she never even acknowledges a good man. So how in the world can he even prove what she says is right is true when she don't even actually acknowledge anything a good man does? Even if he's and it's even worse. What's even worse than that is you got women who will glorify the guys that don't do jack. The baby daddies that ain't been around, ain't never been around, ain't planning on being around. And she glorifies him over the man that stays and takes care of business. So now you have a son who thinks he's an alpha because he don't take care of the women that he actually impregnated. But I'm curious if you guys have seen the same things. But I guess I'll probably end it up here. But alpha, he could be an alpha. Alpha is not a determining factor of whether a person is a good leader or not. A good leader has a vision. And a vision that is actually going to be profitable to you as well as to him and the community. It will not destroy you. A good leader cannot afford to destroy you, because if he destroys his followers, he's no longer a leader. But I just want to bring that up, and I'm not sure if I got everything clear, or at least all my thoughts out. So if I don't, I might bring up another one. But let me know what you guys think about this video, if you identify with any of it. And we'll catch you on the flip side.